I never thought $20 could expose a family. Every month, on the first Tuesday, I walked to Miller's corner store and played the same numbers. 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, bonus number 18. They weren't lucky numbers, they were memories. 7, Claire's birthday. 14, my daughter Lauren's. 23, my eldest son Marcus. 31, my youngest, Daniel. 42, the day Claire and I stood in a small church and promised forever. 18, my nephew Liam, my late brother's boy. $20 bought me something small but sacred, a reason to imagine, a reason to remember when this house was full. My children called it foolish. The afternoon I bought the winning ticket, Lauren burst into my kitchen without knocking. "You did it again," she demanded, snatching the slip from the table. "Dad, Tyler's school fees are late and you're gambling." "It's not gambling," I said evenly. "It's $20. It's irresponsible. You're on a fixed income." I folded my hands. "I've helped you with nearly for $1,000 this year. That's different. That's family helping family. And this," I said quietly, "is me wanting something that's mine." She stared at me like I'd spoken blasphemy. Then she left, tires grinding against gravel. Marcus called that evening, voice crisp and analytical. "Dad, that's $240 a year wasted. You should let me manage your savings properly." Daniel didn't call. He texted. "Still chasing dreams, house always wins." 8 days later, I sat alone in my recliner as the local news broadcast the drawing. My breath caught, my pulse started racing. By the time the bonus number, 18, was announced, my hands were trembling so hard I nearly dropped the ticket. I checked once, twice, 3 times. The numbers didn't change. $1 million, 700,000 after taxes. I didn't shout. I didn't jump. I just stared at the slip of paper and whispered, "Claire, you always liked irony." The next morning, I drove to Columbus and claimed the prize at the Ohio Lottery Commission. I signed forms, answered questions, and accepted a check that felt impossibly light for something that could rewrite lives. On the drive home, the excitement faded into something sharper. Clarity. For years, my children had treated me like a reserve account. Every conversation bent toward need, tuition, debt, rent, emergencies. Not once did they ask what I wanted. So I made a decision before I reached my driveway. They would not know about the money. Not yet. Each of them would face a simple test. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to reveal whether I was their father or their fallback plan. Lauren would be first. If your father calls and says he's having chest pains, you don't weigh inconvenience. You come, or you don't. I picked up the phone and dialed her number. As it rang, I realized something that unsettled me more than the $1 million sitting in my safe. I wasn't afraid of losing my children. I was afraid of discovering I already had. When Lauren answered, she sounded distracted. "Dad, I'm about to head into a meeting. Can this wait?" "I don't think so," I said, letting a tremor slip into my voice. "I'm having some tightness in my chest. It started about 10 minutes ago." Silence, not fear, not panic. Calculation. "Did you take your blood pressure?" She asked. "Maybe it's anxiety. You do get worked up. It feels different." Another pause. I could almost hear her weighing the inconvenience. "I've got Tyler's recital tonight," she said. "And Mark's traveling. Can you call an Uber and go to urgent care?" "I'll come after the meeting." "After? I thought maybe you could drive me," I said quietly. "Dad, I can't just drop everything. You always assume we can. Always. The word settled heavier than the lie I was telling. That's fine, I replied. I'll manage. You should have taken better care of your health, she added gently, as if scolding a child. I'll check in later. The line clicked dead. I stared at the phone for a long time. When Lauren was 8, she had fallen off her bike and scraped both knees raw. I had carried her 3 blocks home while she cried into my shirt. I didn't tell her to Uber herself to safety. I waited 20 minutes. No callback, no text, nothing. I dialed Marcus next. He answered on the second ring. Hey, Dad, what's up? I'm having chest pains. His tone sharpened. What kind of pains? Pressure, shortness of breath. Have you called 911? No, why not? I thought maybe you could come. He exhaled, slow and irritated. Dad, that's not logical. I'm at the office. If it's serious, you need emergency services. I can't leave mid-quarter close. I see. I'll transfer you some money for a private clinic if you want faster service. But you need to act rationally. Money, even now. That was his instinct. I'll handle it, I said. Text me what the doctor says. Another click. 2 calls. 2 disappointments. I sat back in my chair, feeling older than my 72 years. Daniel was last. He rarely answered immediately, but this time he did. Dad, I'm not feeling well, I said, chest pains. He didn't ask for details. I'm coming, he said instantly. You don't even know where I am. At home. You hate going out. I could just call an ambulance. I'm already grabbing my keys. There was no calculation in his voice. No scheduling. No lecture. Just movement. When he arrived 15 minutes later, he burst through the door without knocking. Where does it hurt? He demanded, eyes scanning me, fear plain and unguarded. And that fear, real, inconvenient, unpolished, told me more than any words could. I almost stopped the test right there. But truth, once started, demands to be finished. I straightened in my chair. It's gone, I said quietly. Daniel froze. Gone. Evening settled over our quiet street, the air crisp with autumn's first bite. I sat alone at the kitchen table, a cup of coffee cooling beside me. The house smelled faintly of roasted chicken from dinner I never finished, a solitary comfort. My fingers traced the edges of the worn lottery ticket tucked into my wallet, the numbers staring back at me. 7, 14, 23, 31, 42, bonus 18. Each number a memory, each memory a tiny shard of the life Margaret and I had built. I had never told a soul, not Lauren, not Marcus, not Daniel. Even now, with the ticket safe under lock, the thought of how each of them might react stirred a quiet storm inside me. My children had always been calculating when it came to money, calculating or dismissive. Even my gestures of love were measured by utility, never gratitude. I remembered Thursday, the first test, the chest pains I'd faked. Lauren's concern had been tempered by her appointments. Marcus had weighed logic against inconvenience, and only Daniel had rushed without question. That clarity was bittersweet. The children I had raised could not be trusted with what mattered most. Not now, not ever. The lottery, absurd as it seemed to them, was my final test of loyalty and love. Dollar to million sat somewhere between dream and reality. I imagined their faces if they knew. The eager calculations, the subtle attempts at control, the raw sense of entitlement. But the ticket didn't belong to them. Not yet. not ever. I brewed another cup of coffee, letting the steam rise as I considered my next move. Saturday's family dinner would be the proving ground. The Rusty Anchor, our old haunt, the place where Margaret had insisted we sit in the corner by the window. I pictured them arriving, Lauren's meticulous timing, Marcus's punctuality, Daniel's easy humor. And I thought about how their instincts would reveal what I already knew, self-interest over love. The wind rattled the windows as I planned each detail. The menu, the seating, the subtle cues I'd observe, their responses to small requests, their empathy, or lack thereof, all would be scrutinized. I could see it now. Marcus nudging conversation toward investment strategies, Lauren quietly lamenting expenses, Daniel, ever considerate, observing without judgment. And the numbers on that ticket, familiar yet alive, whispered possibilities. Possibilities of justice, of reward, of recognition for those who had truly earned it. I could feel Margaret's presence in that quiet house, in the way the light fell across the table, in the way the coffee steam rose. She would have known. By the time darkness fell, I had set the plan in motion. Saturday would come. I would watch, I would measure, and I would know, definitively, who among them deserved anything from the life I had built. Alone, I traced the numbers once more, feeling their weight in my hands. Not just money, not just fortune, legacy, and justice. Tomorrow, the answers would arrive. Saturday arrived crisp and golden. I drove to the Rusty Anchor, hands gripping the cool leather steering wheel, every turn mirroring the calculations running through my mind. The restaurant hadn't changed in decades. The same corner table, the same worn wooden chairs, the familiar scent of fried fish mingling with the faint tang of beer. Linda, the waitress, greeted me with her warm smile, carrying 15 years of shared family dinners in her glance. By 6:05, Lauren arrived, her two children trailing behind like reluctant satellites. Kayla barely glanced up from her tablet. Mason immediately asked if the restaurant had Wi-Fi, and Lauren didn't even notice me until she nudged them. Say hello to Grandpa. Their mumbled greetings were hollow, mechanical, rehearsed. I studied every gesture, every flicker of attention. These were my children, or at least the ones I'd raised. But the connections felt like strangers touching old photographs. Marcus and Sarah arrived next. Marcus' eyes swept the table like a chess player plotting moves for a head, while Sarah offered genuine warmth, a rare flicker of kindness in this calculated room. Daniel slipped in last, late as always, hair damp from a hurried shower, dropping into his chair with casual entitlement. He immediately flagged the waiter, ordering a steak without glancing at the menu, while I noted how little he considered anyone else. Dinner unfolded predictably. Lauren immediately brought up school expenses. Marcus hinted at investment opportunities. Daniel complained about slow bar shifts and upcoming work obligations. Each remark, each suggestion, was a test in disguise. None asked about me, my health, my loneliness, or the quiet grief I carried every day since Margaret's passing. I let the conversation flow, observing, listening, calculating. Dessert arrived, apple pie for the children, coffee for the adults. Lauren's eyes flicked to the price. Marcus leaned forward with unsolicited advice poised like a scalpel, and Daniel reclined, detached and self-satisfied. The patterns were clear. Convenience over care, self-interest over empathy, entitlement over love. Outside, autumn shadows pressed against the windows, long fingers creeping across the table. The lottery ticket waited in my safe, a silent promise of justice, of reward for a true loyalty. Soon, the phone calls would begin. Lauren would face a choice between empathy or convenience, Marcus between guidance and control, Daniel between responsibility and avoidance. The clock ticked steadily. Every tick marked a decision that would reveal the character of my children, the measure of who they were beneath the surface of familiarity. Tonight was not about the money. Tonight was about truth. And at last, the real story of my family would unfold. Monday morning brought a sharp chill that seeped through the kitchen windows. I sat at the table, notebook open, pen in hand. The lottery ticket lay beside Margaret's wedding ring, a reminder that this was never just money. It was trust, loyalty, a measure of a lifetime. I traced the edges of the slip as I dialed Lauren's salon number. Glamour touch, Lauren speaking. Her voice bubbled over the dryers and chatter. I let mine tremble slightly. Lauren, it's Dad. I think I might have chest pains. Dr. Rivers says I need to come to Columbus immediately. A pause. Then her efficiency surfaced. Oh, Dad, I'm mid-client. Could you call an ambulance? Ambulance costs $300. I just need 30 for a cab. Please. Silence. Then she returned. Pragmatic. $30, Dad. I could spend 80 on a dress for the salon's anniversary. Can you cover that instead? I let the line go quiet. $30 to save my life. 80 for vanity. Test finished. I scribbled in my notebook, Test 1, failed. Personal gain over family welfare. My hands shook, but not from chest pains. Realization burned harder. A lifetime of small sacrifices meant nothing to her. Tuesday, Marcus, I called, feigning confusion over investment accounts. Immediate response, Dad, I'll manage it. You can keep spending money, but I'll triple the rest in 6 months. Control disguised as help. Advice as a leash. Test 2. Failed. Manipulation over care. Wednesday. Daniel. Lost wallet. Pension money inside. Can you help me? His answer. Dad, I'm tapped out. Lost 300 at poker. Can't help. Excuse. Apathy. Another test failed. Test 3. Failed. Self-interest over duty. 3 tests, 3 failures. Silence pressed down as dusk fell. The autumn wind rattling dead leaves against the window. Then the phone rang. Ellis. No calculations. No demands. Just warmth. Uncle Mitchell, how are you? Anything I can help with. I'm here. Genuine concern. Freely given. Unlike my children, he saw the person, not the wallet. Decision made. $500,000 to Ellis. Enough to secure his future and reward loyalty. $200,000 for my living expenses. A shield against exploitation. I would not be a bank to my children again. A lifetime of giving had earned me this measure of control. Saturday. I called them to the Rusty Anchor. Tickets, verification, check, laid bare on the table. Shock, disbelief, calculation in their eyes. You're serious, Lauren whispered, rage and despair mingling. Marcus leaned forward, legal arguments forming. Daniel stared, comprehension dawning slowly. I spoke deliberately, recounting every failure, every choice. Then Ellis, praise, gratitude, explanation, real family, real loyalty. I folded my coffee cup, tucked the check next to Ellis's number, and walked into the autumn night, leaves skittering across empty streets, a crisp wind carrying the promise of change. Leaving behind entitlement and moving toward the one who truly deserved everything.